Okay.
Is somebody going to assume a leadership role until we can get a...
Well, I personally
I
think,
nominate you to assume that.
I personally think it's the person with the most votes. You're the automatic chair.
Oh, good idea.
Okay, well, I think that probably the first order of business would be for us to determine some officers for this deal. The chair.
Well, I have a recommendation. We're gonna need someone to take minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
And Lisa has kindly offered to do this for us. And I make a motion that we accept her as the secretary for this committee.
Okay. So at this point, I am going to act as though I am the chair, okay? I'm not assuming anything. I'm simply stepping in the vice chair. So there's a motion on the floor to recommend Lisa as the secretary and note taker for this venture.
A second.
Okay, and all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, all opposed, please signify by the same sign. Okay, motion carried. So at this point, let's back up the hill and determine a chair. So is there anybody who would like to be considered for the position of chair of this committee?
Well, I move that since you got the most votes, I move you be the chair.
Okay.
And I second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor and it's seconded that the poor guy who got the most votes would be the chair of this committee. And I will take on that responsibility if I am so elected. Everybody in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Everybody opposed, say the same sign. Okay, motion carried. How deep do we need to go in our roster of officers?
What I was going to ask, do we want to?
I think there should be a vice chair in the event that something happens that I can't be here.
Someone shoot you?
That's, I live over on River Street, so I'm kind of out of the range of finding one.
Well, let's see.
So would anybody like to offer themselves as vice chair? So who got the second most number of votes?
I nominate Corey Nasso.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to elect Corey Nasso. Did you have something you wanted to say?
No,
You
I'm
were just
waiting.
voting in advance?
I'm moving it along. I have an early bedtime.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor that Corey would be the vice chair, and it's been seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Same motion carried. Corey is the vice chair. So now that we have that determined, why do we not set, what I've always believed in my business dealings is that when you negotiate, you start off with two separate lists, and then when you got a deal, there's one list. So I would like to say that all of us, I don't even know what our time frame is. I mean, are we on a deadline? Are we on a clock? How long do we want to meet tonight? But perhaps if we were to, go ahead,
Can
ma'am.
you say that again one more time, what you just said? Your
Boy, I
business
slept
thing?
since then.
And talk slower, just a little bit. Say that again with your two lists.
Say it again, where?
When you said two, you get two lists.
If you are negotiating.
Oh, okay. Just that, each side has a list, and when the negotiation's over and you have a deal, there's only one list.
Got it, thank you.
So perhaps we should all write down our own concerns and our own opinions of how these should be laid out. Then we discuss our lists and merge them into one.
Can I make a suggestion that we define the goal of this committee?
Yeah,
In clear terms, that way,
I think that.
if you don't define your goal, you're never going to reach it.
Okay, well, I'm going to venture a deal, but you guys are more than welcome to correct me. But I'm going to say it is the goal of this committee to agree upon certain policies and procedures that as a committee we believe would best suit the community with regard to short-term rentals.
In residential and commercial?
Actually, any. We can say any. As of right now, though, until something is changed with zoning, then I don't think that the committee should discuss rules and regulations to an activity that is currently not legal. And once they change that, then I would go on to say that we would be representing both sides. So,
So commercial only for now. is what
well,
you're
I'm saying that I think that we
No,
should
we
think
can't.
that way. We can think both ways. But I think that, I don't think that we should discuss the rules pertaining to an activity that is currently not legal.
I don't see any difference whether, we're going to define the rules for short-term rentals, period. It's the trustees to decide where it's done.
Yes, sir.
It's not
Ours
this
is just going to be
I
a
was gonna say,
recommendation. Go ahead,
as
Corey.
part of the suggestions that we put forward, I mean, you know, I've seen some notes in here. Susie had, I'm trying to find Susie, there it is. Susie had something in here about limiting residential short-term rentals and, you know, the number in town. I mean, I don't see that, I don't want to avoid residential. And I'll speak bluntly here that commercial short-term rentals are not the hot topic here. So I think avoiding that is a mistake.
Well,
But I
don't know.
think Brad's right. We can focus on something that really works for both.
Okay, I would agree with that. I'll be okay with that.
Is Susie the only one that has generated a list?
I think so, except for the, that has been presented to all of us at this point, I believe. So
Yeah.
that's the only one I've seen.
Me too.
And-
I wrote some notes down, but I wasn't sure. I
Okay.
just wanted to have something to speak off of if the opportunity
I
arose.
submitted a letter to the county clerk
That did have some.
that had a
your
list
thoughts
of,
and-
concerns.
Okay, did you happen to?
I don't have that
one
with
of
me,
those?
but I could resurrect it quickly.
But I do think
Here, I'll
that,
donate that to Susie's. And that's the way it
okay, paramount to this deal that we're defining, you know, that we're tasked with solving. I think it is very important that a short-term rental in a residential is a business at that point in time when you start collecting money for your services. And I do believe that if I have a business operating from my home, that it should not have any unfair advantage to a business that is brick and mortar on Main Street. And so I think that everybody should be treated exactly the same. And the requirements that apply to the brick and mortar hotel also apply to 630 River Street. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Rachel, and I prepared a few thought-provoking scenarios, thinking perhaps I might be on the committee, and I would like to share those with you as you begin.
We'd be
Is that okay?
glad to hear from you, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I found a paper I urge you all to read. It's online in its entirety. Please go home and read it. And I can email you the link. It's Short-Term Rental Housing Restrictions, done by Robinson and Cole, attorneys at law for the National Association of Realtors. And they put this paper together.
Who?
National Association.
National Association.
National Association of Realtors. They put it-
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, I'm
They put
sorry.
it together because they do put papers together for the National Association of Realtors for planning and development, for communities where a topic becomes apparent that it's problematic. And now they've done that for short-term rentals because it's nationwide. And in that paper, there's a wealth of information that's gonna help you guys see what you're facing so much better, I think, so I advise you to read it. But the couple of scenarios that I have is that Pitkin right now has the chance to put regulations on their short-term rentals. And they, according to state law, they are allowed to do that. They can even choose to go so far as to make them illegal in residential areas. And if you choose to do that, as it stands right now, the Zoning News of the American Planning Association says that where single-family residences are allowed and there's no specific tenure for the staying of it, there is nothing you can do if it goes to court to stop a short-term rental from operating. Because right now our zoning code is not efficient. It doesn't say. And I know Brad's squinting his eyes. You can read that thing frontwards and backwards, and if it went to court, it
I think,
it
Rachel,
probably wouldn't stand.
we're not,
That was a side note, let me finish.
Okay.
So,
Cumbersome.
Yeah,
Just a minute.
hang on just a minute, I'll
Go ahead.
acknowledge you here in just a moment.
Maybe it's cumbersome, maybe it's time consuming, but is this something that anyone here wants to rush and say, okay, we're done in a week? I don't think we are.
I'm not
I wouldn't wanna
suggesting
skip
that
over
at all.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
just suggesting that we cannot run on till August and September and still be adding rules. Yes, ma'am.
Get him and then
Yeah.
I'll ask a question.
Okay, Pete, you're up.
Well, I think, Corey had alluded earlier to the fact that encouraging people to submit suggestions, I think is a good idea, but perhaps we want to put a deadline by which they can expect their comments to be considered by the committee.
Yes, sir.
Perhaps, I'm not sure if you talked about a timeline, but, if you give people a deadline, then typically they're either going to respond to it or they're just going to fill around, never get around to getting it done. So if you're in a hurry, I'd say, well, when's our next meeting going to be? If you have comments, email them in prior to that meeting date.
Okay. Yeah, we can do
And
that.
we can couple those, comments kind of in columns of similar ideas and then go from there.
Yes, sir. Okay. Gwen?
What I was gonna ask is, when is the next town council meeting?
The next town council meeting is the second Tuesday?
Second Tuesday of June.
Which is,
That's 2 weeks away?
yeah,
2.5.
Well, what I was saying is, when are we intending to be able to present this to the town committee?
I don't know that we need to discuss that, but I don't think that we're gonna have the flexibility to be rigid and say we're gonna have it ready by.
You don't think
because,
we would have something by the town council meeting in June?
I would hope that we can.
Well,
but-
what I was saying in relationship to the deadline, if we started tonight, and those people, there are many people who know who have concerns. They can notify them that we have a 2-week deadline.
Okay.
Actually, we could make it less. We could make it an 8-day deadline from, the next day or so. And we could have a week to evaluate them and with our meeting, and then we could get those out to everybody before the meeting so that we're all aware of this type of thing. We could do our recommendations within I believe, a 3-week period.
We have
Yeah.
approximately 2.5 weeks. till the
Maybe
next meeting.
we're deep enough into this now to where maybe we start following the rules of order and somebody make a motion, there's a second, if it dies on the floor, it dies on the floor. Otherwise, we discuss it and move on.
Okay, well, I make a motion that since we're going to be taking public comment, that we allow public comment for a time period. I would say an 8-day period,
And that's gonna
And
be
we can
effective
notif-
as of when,
as of tomorrow.
okay.
Make it tomorrow's date. So what is tomorrow?
20
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So by Thursday of next week.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor that we would, effective tomorrow, place notices that we are looking for public input, and that we would be establishing a deadline of 8 days.
And we
To
have the
gather that.
email addresses.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that would be, I would suppose that we can post, can we not post this on your site?
Yeah, we can put it up.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
And
That's what-
with
okay.
it, make a group
All right.
email, so everything comes to the group, so everybody sees
Yes, ma'am,
at
okay.
the time it
Well,
comes
here,
in.
hang on a second, we got a motion on the floor, and I wanna know if there's a second.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion on the floor by Gwen, of the 8 days beginning tomorrow for public notification is receipt of, information, seconded by Joe. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried.
So we're saying our deadline is the 27th?
Yes, sir, 8 days from tomorrow.
That's 20.
We will notify, I'm assuming via the board at the post office, website.
Yes, sir.
House
Well,
Street.
every method of notification we have
I'll put
available.
it in the minor.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to make sure we give people a fair chance. Just because they're not here yet, they shouldn't, there's several people that won't be here by Wednesday, but I still think they need to have a voice.
Okay, and I think
So,
that's quite all
I
right.
think we need to make a very valiant effort at notifying people.
Okay.
So I know You know, there's some people that don't like electronic methods, but I mean, I think email, the Pitkin, Colorado website, the minor, dare I say Facebook, just put a notice on there that, you know, we're taking public comment. Please contact us.
Can I just make one request though with regard to Facebook? I would like to request that anything that is posted in a public forum be signed off on by all of us as being factual and being what we understand
I
to
don't
be.
use Facebook.
Well, but you should.
No, I shouldn't. I shouldn't.
Okay.
I
no.
think Facebook is a travesty,
Okay, well,
an old
Back
lady.
to Pete.
okay. All right, Pete, you're up.
Pete?
About what?
Okay, I thought you said something.
No.
Okay. But just use all available means to notify people and ask that they quickly respond by this deadline so that we can move forward and feel reasonably sure that we've done a proper opportunity. Yes.
So
Ron, I do have a
anyone,
question.
Just a minute.
Just a minute.
so
Hey.
anyone, anywhere can say it, can give. or-
People who have a vested interest
Well,
in picking, the summer people.
Well, I think that what we should do there, which I don't mean to interrupt you, and Rand, I'll get to you in just a moment. But I think that we should ask that they identify themselves and their interest
Most assuredly.
in their response. So that we know whether it is someone who owns property in Pitkin or whether it's somebody that stays at Ivan's campground.
But that we're not, and I think this is going back to what you're saying, we're not gonna say, oh, well, your opinion doesn't count.
No, we just
No.
identify
There's
themselves
maybe-
so that we know where
Yeah.
they're coming from.
Put guidelines in the post.
I mean, is that, would people agree with my logic there on
Yes,
that?
no, I agree.
No.
The way our town is operating now with so much anonymous information and non-specific information doesn't help us make our recommendations.
I think what we'll get is we're gonna get a nucleus of all the same stuff, and then there'll be a couple of
Yeah,
fringe
just-
things that are different.
Yeah.
But I think
we're just
everybody's-
finding the A box
I'm
and the B
looking for
box.
the one thing out of the 300 I haven't heard, okay? That's what I'm looking for in
There's
this.
that outlier way out
Okay.
there, he's out there.
But
Okay, so we've got that handled.
So, yeah, so can we say we're gonna get public comment by May 27th?
We were
And then-
requesting it by, if they truly want to be heard,
27th
they
or
need to
28th?
help us
I'm
by
sorry.
gathering the information.
Somebody said 28 or 27th.
That's what I was
It
saying.
was 8 days
It is.
from,
Tomorrow.
8 days counting
Tomorrow.
tomorrow
So
would
the
be,
28 from
Okay.
tomorrow.
okay, so if we wanna say the
What's
28th. So-
Now-
27.
I just want to say, this doesn't mean that we can't be working on our list as,
yeah, on our, now see, what we're doing is we're going to create our list. That's going to happen immediately.
and we can keep adding to
And
that
then,
list.
as we got our list, we're going to be looking at people's comments to see if there's worthy points on there that we have overlooked.
Yes.
And I think Rand,
You pretty much asked, I was gonna ask who was gonna be open to it, if it was just gonna be property owners and residents, or the whole US?
Well,
I think so long as they identify themselves and what their interest is in the town of Pitkin, then we can,
Evaluate their opinions.
yeah.
Right.
But by knowing what their level of interest in and why they have a level of interest, it will help us to understand exactly where they're coming from.
And how much weight to give a specific recommendation.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
I think it's a very good point, because, you're going to have people that maybe don't live here, maybe come here just to vacation because they're working full-time, and they vacation here a couple of weeks out of the year, but they have definite plans of investing in the future here, like buying or building a retirement home. So it's good that, you're open to,
Yeah, I think that we should listen, so long as we can understand their point of perspective, where they're coming from. Yes, Susan?
I may have missed this by not being here since the beginning, but how should the people get into contact with you? Is there an email listing of
Yeah.
all your
Yeah.
emails?
We're creating a master
Okay,
list.
somebody
and,
will email that to me
So-
and then I'll put it on the minor.
That's what I was gonna ask, so just so
And
we all have everyone's emails. I don't think anyone's opposed to us printing them out, handing them out to anybody who wants them here. But I would say anywhere we make postings, can we do the same thing? If we make a posting at the post office, include the emails and.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think, dare I say, phone numbers?
I'm not
Is that-
putting
No,
my phone.
actually, I'm unique.
Probably not.
A number of us who are here are unique. I still work. And,
Well, I'll put my phone number on because I'm
and,
available 24/7
well,
for business
well,
anyway, so.
I think if we do it in the written, if it's possible,
I mean, I think a written copy is good to
a
have.
written copy would
but-
be good, because then we're all looking at exactly the same thing.
That's
And-
That's true, because if
And
they
we're not,
come
we're not dealing with he said, she said type.
I
of
learned
thing.
very early in business, if it isn't written down, it's idle conversation. And so I really would request this stuff be written.
And I think it's proper respect to
Yeah.
to the members of this committee, to that we all see and hear and touch and smell the same thing.
I agree.
Yes, Chris?
Can you establish one simple email and post it?
That's what I was gonna
Where it
say.
all-
Do we wanna do
You could
that?
do a forwarding, could you not create a at pitkincolorado.com and then have, I mean, but I do this with our websites, to where I get one email, but it's sent out to everybody who's
It's called
appropriate.
group.
Yeah,
You
and it
make a
happens
group.
automatically. So you could actually do that and put on there that, special committee at pitkincolorado.com, and then have that forwarded to each one of us.
Okay. I'll have to look into it. I haven't had to do an email through this website yet, so I'm not sure if it's possible to do through the way it was set up or not.
Okay.
But we can figure something out there as a general email.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, so I mean, we can always do some kind of free email if it's needed.
Okay. All right, yes, Rand?
All right, with the town, everything gets emailed to Nancy, and then she sends it over.
Well, I sent Nancy an email today.
What?
I sent Nancy an email
I
today,
think
and I'm
it's
glad
too
that
late.
I made a copy,
Mine didn't get there.
because
either.
mine didn't get here. So I would rather it come to
I think
some
she
place
ran
to
away
where
from
it comes
school.
directly to us.
But I think this is a good idea. Susie just said, like, specialcommittee@gmail.com. And then you'd all have the,
Yeah.
or one person would be, whoever's in charge would have the password for that and could forward it to
Forward,
everybody
Yeah,
else.
I'll look into the email thing,
Okay,
and
good.
I have everyone's email
You've
now,
done
so.
email forwarding,
So-
so haven't you? From
Yeah.
somebody
Spam
to-
could broadcast like crazy. You
Okay.
could do it.
All right, now let me just ask the members of this committee, how much time do we want to give this tonight? At what point, what do we need to achieve before we can say that we have achieved what is proper for this
We've
first?
set our ground rules. We've set our mission statement. We've set the amount of time for replacement. I think what we need to do now is set a time for the next meeting and adjourn.
Can I make one suggestion?
You sure
We've
can.
set a goal, but can we set some elements of what need to be addressed in this first? We don't have to go in
Here,
depth, but
right here.
what I was fixing to say, what I wrote down was noise, septic, parking, licensing, and approval.
That's,
Those are just for consideration, but some
And
areas
safety.
that we can agree on and say, it helps guide us
Okay.
towards.
Sure, like the column heading. Whatever you put below it, I'm cool with.
Can I go down my list?
Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
what
let's
you-
do
Am I talking to you right now? You got a list that you're ready with?
I'm right, I listed.
Well, let's get it on.
Okay, septic, parking, both were on Corey's, noise, number of persons for the rental, fire and safety, and this is a big one that we cannot overlook. Applicable taxes that have to be paid. I don't want anything operating illegal. And I've got more, but they're not written down.
Okay.
But those are the basics. Those are
Yeah.
the ones the lawyers said we needed to address.
All right, so,
And some sort of administrator of the rental.
I have a,
yes, ma'am.
along with what Brad said,
Sorry, Aaron.
Pitkin needs a noise ordinance, actually.
Yeah, well,
We have,
There is one.
There is a nuisance ordinance.
that's has to be.
We also have,
I read through it and I have a copy of it. The only noise reference it makes is to dog barking 10 minutes. That is it. Go home and prove me wrong, please. But,
there should be also in there from 7 to 10.
well,
It's not in the ordinance.
I could be wrong and that would be good, but just check into it as a committee because I think you could suggest in your suggestions that a noise like you said, 7 to 10 or whatever it is, that we could adopt an ordinance, because if we don't have one, we answer to the
Right.
Colorado statutes, which is a decibel reading from the property line, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So, anyway, and the second thing, along with what Ramon said and what Brad just said, an administrator, the Resolution 3, Series 2004, appointed a nuisance officer to assist the mayor, and they appointed Steve Kingston to assist the current mayor of that year. So when he became the mayor, he just still is the nuisance officer to help. So we have an ordinance to appoint another one to help.
But
And I
that needs
think-
to be brought up to the council.
Yeah.
I think that we could suggest as a committee that the person that agrees to help is willing to put some legwork into kind of being the head. I mean, all of the local representatives of these vacation rentals can kind of answer to that person. I don't know, it's just an idea. But we do have an ordinance to elect someone to help the mayor as nuisance officer. We just don't have a second person because it was Steve.
So
That's
Okay, well, we will note that and give that some consideration. I don't know that that's within our operating procedures.
Our
But-
an
state
administrator,
administrator.
I don't know, just thinking.
So, yes, ma'am.
John, in addition, with the noise ordinance, there's really not a specified time. I think Rand said
Thought it was
10 to
7
7 or 7 to 10. There's not anything in the ordinance, and that's not, your job to do that would have to come from zoning board of trustees or whatever. But I think when we talk about noise ordinance, we need to make sure that we include everybody, not just
Oh, yes.
rental people,
No,
because,
The whole
Yeah.
town.
I mean, your wife has to leave to go to work really early in the morning, and if she has to start her car early, and it's disturbing the next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make a comment to this issue. When we rewrote the zoning ordinance in 2012, we tasked the town council, the trustee board, to come up with a camping ordinance. And I think it would be within the realm of this committee to say the noise ordinance isn't the responsibility of this committee nor within its scope, which is the same problem camping was in the zoning. But we will make a recommendation that the noise ordinance needs to be redone.
Yes.
We can make recommendations like that, but we are not here to redo the noise ordinance or the nuisance
Well,
ordinance.
and I've got a personal issue too, in which all of you guys who know me know that I believe that a lot of these issues that we are having right now, we would not be having if we had some sort of law enforcement. Because you cannot legislate respect, you can't legislate courtesy. People only behave when they're afraid that they're going to get a penalty if they don't behave. And this idea of saying that we police ourselves, I completely disagree with, because it is not fair for the town to create rules and then put me against my neighbor in an effort to try to enforce it. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I think a prudent landlord, a property owner that's renting out their property short-term or long-term would have consequences in place, or should have consequences in place, regardless of whether there's an enforcement officer. They can say to their tenant, hey, if you disturb your neighbor between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m., and I hear about it, I'm going to evict you.
Yes, ma'am, but I don't think that we can lay that is something that the property owner is going to have to do himself. That's not
Yeah.
something that we can edict that
Yeah,
we
because
do.
your noise
But where
ordinance issue as
his-
a whole, that's townwide.
Where the landowners can be chastised is in next year's application process. That, we asked you to deal with these problems, you did not, it went on and it went on. So therefore, we are not going to grant your request for the conditional use this upcoming year.
Well, wouldn't you have just to be
back
like
me
on
up
both
here,
sides
what
of the
you
Oh,
road.
I
guys
agree,
got
I
something to
agree.
say.
Let's, I
Yeah,
just
it's
wrote
up
that
to
down
the
as I
owner.
think maybe another element of this is how violations for short-term rentals are handled. But like it said, I think probably most people are here getting pretty tired, and I'm not wanting to cut somebody off, but I think we need to define our goal, define the elements that are important to this, set a meeting date, and then, and we get public input. The next meeting we discuss further, and maybe it's just a huge cluster and it doesn't work out. But, we're doing a lot of talking without forming anything right now.
Well,
And I'm
let's,
not, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sound,
Well, but
I'm not
at
trying to
this
cut
point
people
right
off.
now, and maybe I, as the chair, I'm the guy that could have the ability to quiet that down. But I think that in this initial meeting, it is good to find out what the folks out there have to say and why they have to say it. And then as we gain experience and as we become more focused, and I will beg Steve to let me borrow his little hammer. But we will get better as we go along, okay? Pete, have you got anything further to say?
Well, I have a question,
Okay.
and that, did the town council give any specific guidelines to the committee as it relates to the time in which this project should be completed?
No, none other than as soon as possible,
Which is not a date.
which is not a date.
Okay, has it been discussed if in fact these regulations are going to be placed in the zoning regulation or the separate licensing
Zone.
ordinance?
I believe it's the intention to put this in zoning. The zoning board will review this recommendation of this committee.
So this recommendation would go to the Board of Zoning Adjustment,
Right. And then it goes to the trustees.
and all of the, then it would be an amendment to the zoning
Yeah,
code that would require that a public hearing with 15 days notice in the Genesis paper.
right. Or it may be decided that this needs to be a standalone ordinance. That would really, I think, come out in the zoning meeting.
Okay, well, I mean,
You see that-
I know there's a big deal of interest in getting this done as quickly as possible, and I think there's some statutory limitations on how quickly it can be done as built through the zoning.
Well, this is going to have to end up as an ordinance, either in the zoning or a standalone.
Well, but the standalone ordinance wouldn't have the same notification requirement.
Yes, they both do.
Okay. So we're talking about maybe if we're lucky to get this done in July.
I would say that that would be realistic.
Realistic, yes.
If we're lucky.
Okay, and then when, if I understand, we're gonna get public comments submitted to the committee and shared with the committee members, and then hold the next meeting in which these ideas discussed by the committee tonight, and then the input from the public will then be discussed. When will that meeting be held?
We have not decided yet, but I think that this committee should meet sooner than the 8 days. And at
Yes.
least we can begin by going off our list.
Yeah.
And then as we get public input, we will see if there's items that need to be added.
All right, that sounds fine.
When are you gonna be here?
Unfortunately, I won't be there until next Sunday.
Next Sunday.
Coming Sunday.
So, okay.
That's only 5 days away.
Well,
I'm
that,
glad to meet by phone again if you'd like.
okay, well, perhaps we should schedule our meeting for Monday. Does anybody have any opinion on this travel schedule? Anybody got any conflicts?
On the 25th, Memorial Day?
Oh,
That's a
well, no,
holiday.
probably not.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right, maybe not Monday.
How about Tuesday?
okay.
You want to meet later this week?
Yeah, later this week would be better.
All right.
Well, I'm not able to do that. I have to be in Denver for a christening on Saturday.
Okay. Well, I can't be here for that one either, Pete, so we'd both have
Yeah.
to be on a phone.
Pete, just bring your list of concerns and we are gonna go ahead and meet in the meantime to get started. And then, we'll update you on everything we're at, and then as soon as possible with us and with you, we will schedule the second meeting.
That's fine.
That fine?
Well, you're gonna have another meeting before I get there, is that what you said?
I'm thinking that we should. If
Yeah.
everybody's schedule will work, I believe that we should.
Like when are you saying?
Well, today is,
Tuesday.
Tuesday. How about Thursday?
yeah, Thursday or no later Friday, Thursday, Friday. Does that work for all you?
Yeah, because it's Memorial Day weekend.
Okay,
Everyone's
what
off.
day is
Thursday.
Thursday?
Thursday.
What day? Thursday?
This Thursday is the
Okay.
21st.
I don't want to over the weekend, yeah.
Thursday is the 21st.
Okay, so has anybody got anything you want to add out there so we can start winding this down for this particular first gathering?
What time will that be on Thursday, the 21st?
It won't be at 6:30, because I won't want to rush through dinner next time.
7 o'clock.
I had to go away and leave it.
Dinner.
It wouldn't hurt me, but I'm not going to.
Still, we wanna say 7 o'clock,
7.
Yeah.
Thursday at 7?
So is everybody
Here?
agreeable?
Yeah.
Is that,
And
Rachel,
here-
is that, I guess
Yeah.
yours fine?
Meeting has to be posted.
Yeah, so we'll post it tomorrow. We got 48-hour notice.
Thursday at 7.
All right,
Okay, so do we match all the criteria? If we
Oh,
do
let's
this
see.
first thing in the morning?
Let's see,
21st.
it's Thursday, so if we did it first thing in the morning,
We have to have 48 hours
we gotta have
notice.
48 hours notice.
It's
Friday.
not gonna quite make it, is it?
Yeah, so it'd have to be Friday.
Yeah,
Can we make it early Friday?
We
Well,
can make
the
it
thing is, it
anytime.
doesn't work for people.
So
if
you
they
guys,
don't
will
work.
Friday work for you guys in the daytime, or you already blowing out
In the
again?
daytime?
Actually, people who live here should not be going someplace else on Memorial Day weekend. People who live other places come here on Memorial Day.
John,
Camping that
the only thing
weekend.
I wanna point out is, I mean, there are
Okay, Corey, excuse me, go ahead.
like the Popes, I'm sure they're gonna be busy as heck on Friday. I mean, they've been busy every day, so I think if we're gonna have the meeting, it needs to be in the evening.
Okay.
That's all I wanna point out. I'm open on any date, I don't really care, but I don't think we should have it early.
Well, we cannot do it prior to the 48 hours,
I know.
and we have to have ample time. So does anybody have any suggestions? Fridays is a much better day for me.
Friday's fine with me, I'm
What
not
about
doing anything.
late afternoon, what, 4 o'clock?
I
That'd
like
be a
4
lot better than 7. Yeah, me too.
So does that work for you guys? Huh?
It'll be raining then.
Okay,
It's not
so
the
we're gonna
26th.
schedule our next meeting for this Friday at 4 o'clock PM, right here.
right.
Okay.
Should we limit it to like a certain time, amount of time?
Well,
Is it-
I think that, let's, after we meet and see the quality of our list and what is duplicate redundant information, then from that point, we say, okay, let's try to get this handled in an hour and a half, hour, depending upon what our workload is, but we don't know what our workload is till we get there.
Right.
Yes, ma'am?
When will we get the list of, where we can email our commentary and suggestions?
Tomorrow,
We're gonna post it.
Yeah, we'll
Corey's
have,
posting.
we'll have some
tomorrow.
sort of email, whether it's the ones that are on the list, or if I can get something worked out with a centralized email, we'll have something on the posting. I'll make sure.
You're meeting Friday at
4 o'clock.
at 4, okay.
4 in the afternoon.
Yes, Rand?
Being you're just a suggestive community, I guess I would call it. Do you have to go by that 48 posting?
Yes.
Oh, he said we had to pertain to the
That's-
open
that's-
records laws.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're-
Sunshine law.
We're pretty much bound to certain rules.
Corey, can you post that on the website that we're meeting?
Yes.
Okay, Pete, are you finished? Got something?
I told it, if I understand correctly, you will meet on Friday, and this committee will work on refining the list of criteria it feels is important. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you'll have another meeting, but by then, the next Thursday, you will have a deadline and have received public comment, which the committee will then consider and compare to the list that the committee developed.
Yes, sir, that's absolutely correct.
Okay, so what you'd like me to do in the meantime is email to you those points that I feel are important. Those will be discussed at your committee meeting on Friday along with other comments that
Yes, sir.
the committee might make.
And I would like to suggest, out of respect for the committee members, out of just an overall everything up on the board up front, I would request that every email that is sent to each of us, so that we're all looking at and touching the same thing.
Okay, somebody's gonna send me an email.
I was gonna
or
get it.
email.
Yes, we'll get that to you.
Yeah, so we're gonna look into email forwarding first thing tomorrow, hopefully, so that we can have one email address that then would forward the received email to each of us. And that would make it much easier on the people responding. Rather than having to copy 7 people, it'd be easier for them to put in one email address, but yet we would all still receive the copies of the email. Okay?
Susie, do you have Pete's email?
John P. at,
I got it,
right,
I
okay.
got it.
yeah.
All right, so anything further from up here? Yes, ma'am?
No, I move we,
But
wait,
Ken,
wait.
before we do that, we can,
So, like the emails we're gonna get, it's just for us to read, we do not reply to them though.
We don't have to
Right.
reply.
and actually,
Because that
I,
wouldn't be fair, because everyone would
out of
know
respect for the
same-
board, I think that any reply
Right,
should be a reply based upon the
Copy.
consensus of this committee.
Right,
Copy.
and copy on all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
no, I agree, I just wanted to make sure that
And
we
then,
were all doing this.
because I do not want for any of us to place an opinion out there
Right,
that is mine and mine alone and
Right.
does not reflect the general opinion of this committee.
I totally agree, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that.
Okay.
Can I,
Yes,
can I just
sir.
throw an idea out there on this email? Can we, if nothing else, can we just reply and say we've received your letter, just so people aren't sitting in limbo?
Oh,
wondering
yeah,
if we-
yeah, I mean,
You can
I
have,
understand replying, you don't want to reply with
just do
opinions or
not,
anything.
do not offer your individual opinion,
Mhm.
because the only opinion that I'm gonna ask that come from this board is a joint opinion of us all.
why don't you work on an auto reply? In other words, when the
yeah,
email
that's
comes
exactly
in,
right.
you just have it automatically send a reply that we got.
Email received, once you open it up, it will send it.
Okay.
And if
And-
you have difficulty, I can do this through our email server.
gonna
It's
say, I'll
just
have to
that
see, but-
it will be townofpitkin@innovativebowling.com. But I can pull that off if we need to.
Innovative bowling.
Yeah, it's,
I don't want to.
you know, the world's about bowling.
Gunnison Bowling Alley.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't bowl it because the closest bowling center is over 2 mountain passes, so now I just talk to people on the phone every day. So is there any further comment or anything at all that wants to come forward from, yes, ma'am?
I don't know if this helps, but at my previous job, if we wanted to get a word out to everybody, we would send an email to, in this case it was ADWR, everyone. And then the people that wanted to be included in that communication process, they joined the group ADWR everyone, and then every time the communication went out that needed to reach everybody in that group, they all got it automatically. And of course, there wasn't, in some cases, if it was regarding acknowledgement, then there would be like an auto reply.
Okay. We're virtually doing the same thing when we're
Yeah.
using the terminology of auto forwarding,
Yeah.
and we can make that happen.
Yeah, well, I'll have to look into it. I'm not sure that's stuff that we can do with any type of free email account. I mean, I know
Oh,
what
you
she's
mean
talking
like
about.
like a Yahoo or something like
Yeah.
that?
You can set up-
I
You
know
can
we
do
can set
it.
up
You
forwarding,
can
but I
do
don't know that we can do.
You can set up auto notification.
Okay, well, we can talk.
Yeah.
talk
You
about
can
that
set up
time,
groups.
everybody.
I'm a Microsoft Systems certified engineer, grandfathered out in 2000. And in 2000, you could do that with any of them, Hotmail, whatever.
All right, so if there's not anything further, I say we adjourn and call it a night, and I thank you, people.
I motion that we adjourn the meeting.
All right.
I'll second.
I got a second by Brad, a motion by Glenn to adjourn the meeting, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same side. Okay, motion carried, we're finished. Thank you. We have a lot of reading to do. Pete, thank you very much.
Do you need that on?